Here today. I, on behalf of the Department of Psychology, Royal School of Behavioral and Allied Sciences, am delighted to present before you a webinar on the psychosocial implications of learning to live with COVID-19. We are very much honored to have with us Dr. Sangeeta Khular, Associate Professor at MKP PG College, Dhera Dun. This webinar would not have been possible without the guidance and constant support of our most esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. S.P. Singh, and very respected Chairperson Academic, Professor Alok Kumar Boragohain. They could not be with us at this moment, but they send their best wishes. Also, a warm welcome to all the participants joining us today from within the state and outside. Dr. Khular has been teaching undergraduate and postgraduate classes at MKP PG College, Dhera Dun, Uttarakhand since 1991 and has guided 11 PhD scholars till date. Her areas of research interest include current social issues, school psychology, women's issues, and positive psychology. She has presented research papers at national and international forums and chaired a session on school and education psychology at the Asian Congress of Psychology at Singapore in 2014. She has a number of publications in reputed journals. Career counseling for school children is another area that she contributes to in her hometown, as vocational guidance for children is close to her heart. In the industry, she has been engaged in consultancy and training for reputed companies such as HUL, ITC, MUL, and Mondelez, among others, where constructing customized psychological tests and soft skills training are her forte. Dr. Khular was also part of the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, TB, and Malaria Round 7, of which India was a part, as supportive supervisor and master trainer for AIDS counseling component. Thank you so much, ma'am, for gracing us with your presence today. So without much ado, let us get started with this webinar, and I leave the session open to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It is an honor to be with you all today. In these, shall I say, very interesting times that we are living in, a pandemic has overtaken our lives and turned our world upside down. What was normal till now is questionable, and we are still searching for the new normal. The new normal is evolving, and as Rudani said earlier, we are adapting, and we are having to adapt very, very quickly because the changes overtake us very soon. These are uncertain times, as we just said. These times are fraught with fear, worry, anxiety, and stress. And there is a lot of stress. Where is this stress coming from? We all know it's coming from the fear of infection. That, of course, everybody knows. It's coming from the travel restrictions, from the disruption of our social lives, that is our interaction with others, the distance from friends and family, the disruption of celebrations, religious, social. Healthcare is available to us because COVID has overtaken the healthcare. There has even been disruption in vaccinations, which is causing a lot of stress to parents. The sudden closure of schools has brought on worries about the academic year, about the quality of education, about the children's socialization, because children are cooped up at home. Unemployment, wage cuts, and even racism is rearing its ugly head. And the list goes on. I don't want to dwell on all this negativity, but I will still mention the psychological effects that this pandemic is having on us, and they range from anger and confusion to PTSD, that is post-traumatic stress disorder. Psychology students will understand. And I think if I elaborate on some of the symptoms, you will probably recognize it. nightmares, rumination, flashbacks, and high reactivity, high sensitivity. All of these are symptoms of PTSD, the post-traumatic stress syndrome. And we are even talking about coronaphobia now, as well as COVID stress syndrome and the related xenophobia, which is the fear of foreigners. We well, some states are still under lockdown, and maybe intermittent lockdown, and followed by some unlock, but the confusion persists. There is still a lot of confusion because the virus has not gone anywhere. We may let loose, but the virus is also let loose. We don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know when a vaccine will be available. We don't know whether there ever be a cure. And slowly we are coming to the realization that viruses aren't things that we fight. They are things we learn to live with, to mitigate, to treat. In the words of David Merchant, who is a very eminent virologist. So, what is the way forward? And of course, I will be focusing on the psychosocial issues. So let's begin with education, which is very close to all of us in this webinar today. The sudden closure left us wondering as what to do, and some of us realized that online was the only way to go, even before we had directions to do so. We rose to the occasion. We transferred all our learning online, and a lot of us learned on the job. I'm sure the young ones had a lot of facility with the online mode, but some of us had to learn as we went along. And personally, I was very, very pleasantly surprised at the response that we got from students. The way they took to online teaching and their flair for technology and the ease of transition that they showed, it was phenomenal. But let us not forget that there is no substitute for face-to-face interaction, face-to-face learning. We need to connect with our students. The students need to reach out to us. We need to remind them and reassure them that we are there for them, that we are there for them in whatever circumstances they find themselves in, whether it be academic or personal. It is time that we reassure the vulnerable ones individually that we are there. We also need to humanize ourselves. Please remember, work and teaching has invaded homes, not the other way around. Homes have not invaded classrooms. Classrooms have invaded homes. So it's okay to let your students into your homes a little bit, to humanize them. So, I mean, if your dog wants to be petted right then and doesn't take no for an answer, it's okay to introduce your dog to the class. It's okay. As I said, classrooms have invaded homes, not the other way around. Homes have not invaded classrooms. So let homes remain homes, and let's become a little more human, a little more, shall I say, everyday, normal for our students. That way, they will be able to connect with us better. They will be able to reach out to us. Students, we are there for you. Your teachers are always there for you, because we have to address the fact that our students are also, to some extent, traumatized, in the sense that they are also stressed, they also worry, they are also under a lot of confusion. And we have to connect at the emotional level, because emotions are the key to learning. A happy child will learn much better. A confused child, a child whose worries have been addressed will learn better rather than someone who's worried and stressed and confused. So we have to connect at the emotional level now. We must also remember that, yes, we need to challenge, we need to help them climb the academic ladder, but we need to support them also. So it's not necessary to just focus on the content. You also need to provide whatever support, whatever scaffolding that you can, and because it is the need of the day. Also, um, I think teachers need to help them form support groups. We need to remember that the classroom or the campus is not just a place teaching and learning takes place. A lot of socialization takes place there. Children share their lives, their views. They don't share every little thing on campuses. So there is a need to create spaces where they can share their lives. If we haven't done it already, I think it would help them create such certain spaces where they can still share, and not just on a one-to-one basis, on a group a platform. It would be nice if we help them do that. And we should not ignore the elephant in the room. Elephant in the room, COVID-19. Let's talk about COVID-19 with our students. Help the students talk to us about these circumstances. Let them talk to us about the worry, the stress, the anxiety. And everybody knows anxiety and stress, if talked about, always lessens. Uh, we can address these issues if we are able to talk about them. Another thing that we need to see is whether all our students are able and they have the facility to come online. Royal Global, most students have that facility, I'm sure, but my college, we get students from the entire gamut of society, the entire spectrum of society. So somewhere we have to minimize these disparities. And I think we should be looking at mixed media learning now. So I think the TV and the radio are going to have a very important role to play in the future. Their content has to improve, and who can improve that content? We can, as teachers. All of these innovations, these improvements, and the ways of teaching, I believe, will have a positive impact on education as such. It will, of course, increase the digital skills of teachers. The radio and TV will improve as educational medium. And I feel that the education ministries will have a better understanding of the issues and the gaps in education, especially connectivity, hardware, integration, and teacher readiness aspects of online and mixed media teaching. Along with education, what has come to a standstill is sporting activity. And sports have always been a very important part of the educational landscape. What has happened is that we are all locked are in our homes, and the confinement has led to less physical activity, more time, irregular sleep patterns, imbalanced diets. Lack of sporting activity has led to sedentary lifestyles, and probably the beginning of disorders that are caused by sedentary lifestyles. And it has an impact on immunity, on physical health, and mental health. So all of us, no bar, we need to incorporate some kind of physical exercise. It could be anything. It could be yoga, it could be stretching, it could be strength training, it could be just climbing stairs for half an hour at a time, up and down the stairs. Or it could be just some of the strenuous domestic chores. We need to incorporate this. It helps in mitigating anxiety and tension and worry. And of course, it will keep us healthy mentally and physically. Also, students, there are a lot of internet courses and apps available to keep you fit and active. Please explore them. Let's talk about the social and personal implications of learning to live with the virus. Restrictions may have been lifted, but we need to, but we, excuse me, yeah, but we need to keep a lot of things in mind, especially the safety measures. These safety measures have to become a part of the evolving new normal. Physical distancing, do hat ki duri, wearing masks, although I think that the greatest casualty of wearing masks is not being able to see smiles and laughter. You know, if smiles and laughter does not reach the eyes, it cannot be communicated. So I think our eyes are learning to laugh and smile much more than before. But hand washing has to be part of our new normal. Whatever other protocols and SOPs that we are given, we need to incorporate them into our new normal. Yes, I sometimes forget to wear a mask when I have to go to the college. But what I have done is I've put a couple in the car. Left compartment has a few masks. We need to get these habits, you know, part as part of our daily lives now. And must not forget physical distancing. It's very tempting to get close to someone. It's very tempting to put an arm around, but please desist. Right now, desist. So what you can do is you can have signs and symbols for it. I have to hug someone, I use the hug emoji. I copy the hug emoji and I hug from a distance. This can be done. It can be done. We just have to remember and innovate as we go along. Facebook has introduced a hug emoji, right? Everybody? Or everybody knows about it. So I imitate that when I have to hug someone. And I think if not the physical comfort, I think it does give a lot of psychological comfort to have someone hug you even from a distance. क्योंकि सावधानी घटी, sorry, the सावधानी हटी तो दुर्घटना घटी. But no social distancing. I have not mentioned the word social distancing till now because I do not believe in social distancing, only physical distancing. We need to stay connected. And we must use technology to bridge these distances that we have to create a force. Conference calls, video calls, Zoom parties, and a number of other innovations I can see around me. Some that we are also using. Even with my friend circle, we have Zoom parties. Con calls are very, very common. Conference calls are very common. You know, if one friend calls, I say, oh, let's add another one. And that other one will say, let's add another one. So we have 4 or 5 people talking at the same time. So we have to make an extra effort to stay connected. It's very important. And the other thing that we can do is we can look for opportunities for volunteering and helping others. Volunteering and helping others not just sustains society, but it gives meaning and renewed purpose to life. Some of us have had these, especially people my age, have had doubts about the meaning of life, sitting at home with little to do except housework. These thoughts do come into our minds. But helping someone, volunteer, does add that extra meaning, it extra purpose to life that we are looking for at this time. करके देखो, अच्छा लगता है. What about mental health? Mental health, it is the most important aspect of living with the virus. We need to take care of ourselves. Self-care has become very, very important. We need to look after our health. Almost every human being on this planet has probably been affected by this virus, and it has felt anxiety, has worried, or is still worrying, is still feeling anxious. Let me assure you that these feelings are absolutely normal. It's okay to feel anxious. It is okay to feel that there is impending doom maybe, or it's okay to be worried. Please be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be compassionate with yourself. Self the space to deal with these emotions. As I normal, everybody is going through these emotions at this point of time. Do not brush them under the carpet. Do not deny them. Do not push them. It is not healthy. Whatever you push away, whatever you deny, whatever you suppress will express itself in forms that are not healthy. And it's actually impossible to deny them. We have all felt them. Let's accept them and find ways to safe and controlled ways to express them. All of us should have a confidant, should have someone that we feel safe with. We feel that we will not be judged, and we must have someone to. In case we don't, sometimes we do not feel safe in talking about our feelings to anyone, then journaling is an option. Keep a journal, not a diary in where you are chronicling what has happened with you, but a journal of what you're feeling, what you're going through, what your reactions were, and write. Sometimes expressing yourself gives you a different perspective. It makes you see things in a more realistic light when you are just writing them down or you're talking to them. And even if even that is not possible, I would say become your own best friend. We can become our own friends, and think about how would respond to a friend under these circumstances and apply that to yourself. If you are able to do that, you will be addressing a lot of your problems without any a feeling of having betrayed myself or being judged by anybody. So become your own best friend is what I would say. Also, during these times when we are having to do a lot of things ourselves, especially the ladies at home, even the children are expected to do a lot at home, let us not try and be perfect at everything. It's okay if you are not good at everything. Prioritize. There are a few things that you may just take on for yourself and say, yes, this is what I'm going to do. But let others take the slack. And it's okay to not do everything every day. It's all right. Don't burden yourself and try to make the best of the situation. Distinguish between what you can control and what you cannot. And I think what we can actually control is our response to the situation. And always think before you respond. Otherwise, we are reacting, and reactions can be harmful to ourselves and others. So, response is in your control. So, think about it, give yourself time, give yourself space, and respond in a positive manner. And when I say focus on the positive, I know it's not easy. The negative thoughts are easier than the positive ones. But if we try, we can focus on the positive. And lockdown is the time where we've got so much of opportunity to spend time with our families. I'm sure some of us have bonded better, and a lot of us have been working on our relationships, and hopefully some of our relationships. I'm sorry. And I'm sure, I'm sure our relationships have become better. Also, for the sake of our mental health, we need to stick to reliable sources of information. Do not watch the news all day long. Do not, if social media is making you anxious, give yourself time out from it. Ration your social media time, and I'm sure you'll feel better, because all kinds of information is floating on social media, and a lot of it is fake. And sometimes it's very difficult to distinguish between what is real and what is fake. Hence, stick to reliable sources. I think this is also the time when we need to slow down, especially adults, because we have been running too fast. We haven't had the time to stand still and to stare, as Shakespeare said, and also the time to look within, get in touch with ourselves. We need to get in touch with ourselves. We've lost touch with ourselves. Understand yourself better. As I said, become your own best friend. And it's also probably, for us adults, it's probably time to turn to spirituality. Connect with that higher power. And for everybody, I think we all need to be grateful. We have a roof on our heads, food on the table, some unlimited. We've got technology to connect. We've got resources, something that a lot of people, thousands upon thousands, do not have. And at night, what I do is I list out all the things that I am grateful for in a day, all the situations that have helped me in any way, I list them out. And my gratitude journal makes me calm, it gives me a lot of peace, and it makes me look at the positive rather than the negative. Look at what you have, not what you do not have. Also, I think everybody should have some kind of relaxing activity. You must indulge in some relaxing activity like pranayam, yoga, music, dance, prayer, communing with nature. Anything that brings you peace. I think we all need to cultivate some such activity, and the lucky ones can cultivate more than one. It it is our me time when we are indulging in these activities, and me time is very, very important. We need to take care of ourselves, our mental health. And when all this is over, and I'm sure it will be over, I think we should take this opportunity to consider what we would like to add back and what we would rather leave out. We have been living somewhat minimalistic lives. And as time went on, I didn't even miss a lot of things that I thought were, part of my life, like ordering food, because we all got into this mode of cooking all sorts of exotic stuff at home, or going to a mall, or I stopped missing these things. So I think somewhere we need to consider, do we need to add back everything? And nature has been so happy without us. Don't you think we should let nature be self a little more? We have to rethink our relationship with nature. It is a time to think, it is a time to reconsider, it is a time to delve within and find ourselves. And it's a time to make the right choices. These choices I'm not going to prescribe for you. You have to make your own choices. And as a responsible young generation, I'm sure you will make the right choices. I'm absolutely certain that you will make the right choices. And keep the hope. Yes, this will end. When? We don't know. But yes, certain signs are there that yes, some cities are over the peak. And once the peak is over, of course, it is a downgrade. Some states are doing very well. Some are not. But there is change, and some of it is positive. And I am sure it will continue. For nothing stays forever. Nothing, absolutely nothing stays forever. This shall pass. Thank you so much for the patient hearing that you've given me. It has been a pleasure. And let me wish all a very happy Hartalika Teej. It is Teej in our part of the country. What is it called in yours? Please tell me.
Ma'am, some of us here do celebrate it as Tej itself, but not all communities.
Okay, all right. So it is Teej for us.
I just see that our respected and esteemed Vice Chancellor, sir, has joined us. So, Professor, sir, would you like to say a few words now? Sir, you are on mute.
I'm not on mute. No.
Yes, we hear you. Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I was not on mute, Rudrani. Sangeeta ji, good evening. I would say it's about to. How are you? Actually, I got information very late. I just got information that this webinar is going on. So on my personal behalf, I say sorry, I could not attend from the very beginning. We'll definitely go through your, the recording. But the last thing which I was listening to was very, very motivating for all my students, to all my teachers, and to me also, that we have to be strong. This shall pass. We have to be positive. We should be thinking the good time will come soon. So all psychological trauma, whatever we may be having, will gradually go down. And I'm very sure, because the people like you, people like us, and the Royal Global University, everybody is so very positive, even this COVID times, that we feel that we are more, I think, knowledgeable. We got chance to live with a family for the first time in life. and be remembering all good things what actually has happened, because we hardly get time, we professionals, and you also, I know very well. So everybody in a, but then I think other day I was listening to other psychologists, and maybe I'm right or wrong, that it was also been found that people with, in general, negativity are growing. I mean, they are gaining more negativity during this period of time. The people with more positive bent of mind, they are becoming more positive during this period of time. So, I mean, it is something which COVID time has given us to think that what we are, and probably that help us to understand where we need to change, and just to think about yourself, see what you, who are you actually, you are what kind of person, how you're going to impact others is secondary, but how you're going to impact yourself is first. So all those things that they keep on going, and I think I'm very, very happy to join you at the last leg. But then this topic is very, very relevant, and I'm very sure our students, we started a helpline for, some kind of psychological issues with the students, but then thankfully we have received negligible call or nil calls. So all my students are also good, and we kept them engaged, and through online modes and otherwise. And many times my behavioral science students were looking forward for our classes. So without your classes and anybody's class, we feel alone. Is better, classes should continue. So all good student, positive teachers have created a good positive vibes around, and we are able to pull through so far well. And another few months, if at all, we'll be able to pass through well, I suppose. So this is, I mean, from my heart. I've just joined at the last leg, so I don't know what exactly has happened in the webinar. But then I will be there for another few minutes for the question answer and to know to listen to you more. How are you otherwise? Everything is fine at Dhera Dun?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I've mentioned a lot of what you said about looking within and recognizing the self and how negativity can be overcome or should be overcome. So I've said all this, and it's been a pleasure. Let's see what questions are like.
Thank you
All
so
well
much.
with you?
All well with me. So
Yeah.
I'm shuffling between Noida and Guwahati. Little difficult, but I'm managing. So over to Rudrani. I should not be taking more time of the students who may have raised questions. Very precious time of Dr. Sangeeta Khular. We must utilize that time.
Yes, thank you, sir. So, sir, in most of the webinars and in this webinar also, you have stressed that this is a unique opportunity that we get this time to spend with our families. And the same point, Dr. Sangeeta ma'am has also raised that she encourages us to journal because that would lead to self-reflection. So, for us who have been connected with, we've been coming to college, students have been coming to college. So, for them, it is a unique opportunity to do this self-reflection. But a question that one of the faculty members is raising, Dikshita, she has said that what about those students who have those new generation children who are getting introduced to this pandemic, who have no idea of how this is going to operate. So how would what would ma'am's suggestion be to the parents of how to make these children cope with the pandemic? How do they socialize with their peers? And what would be your suggestion to the parents as to what they should be, doing with their children?
I know this is a problem that I've seen occurring around me also. Young children, actually, the age where the socialization is actually beginning, they are impacted very, very strongly. Um, I will even talk about even younger children than school-going children. And there is a 1.5-year-old grandson in my parental home. And this child has been cooped up in the home for 6 months with no other children to play with. Sees the same 6 faces every day. So he's scared of the 7th face that he sees. So what I have suggested is that at least Dhera Dun, we are allowed to drive around and we are allowed to move out. This child is taken out and out of the home almost every day in a car and just or in a pram, and shown that there is something besides the home. And even children are shown to this child from a distance, and the beauty of it is that these little ones are communicating with each other at a distance. So I think technology is the only thing that can bridge this deficit that is happening in the socialization of these young children. Just as I said that we must resort to, say, conference calls or video calls or Zoom parties or Zoom meetings. I think even the little ones can be introduced to that if the continues as it has in your state. We have been unlocked for quite some time, so the distances have reduced, but not they haven't gone away. So what we are doing is that we are, the interaction even for little ones has gone online where it is possible. Where it is not, then yes, of course, the problem stands. And the little are also being introduced to masks and hand washing and this distance. So yes, it is going to have an impact, but and that impact may be long term, but we have to find ways of normalizing it for the child. We have to find normalizing this for ourselves first, accepting it for ourselves first, and then normalizing it for the child, because it is going to continue for some time. As I said, the new normal is evolving. The new normal, we are constructing the new normal as we go on, and even children will have to, have to be introduced into it gently. And however we can bridge these gaps, we need to do that. Rudrani?
Okay. Yes, thank you, ma'am. One more question has been raised by Janabi, who's also a faculty member. She is asking, how can we as teachers use platforms like radio and television, which you mentioned, to reach out to students in remote location? Are podcasts a similar viable option for us? Because we have found that during our classes, some students were able to join while others had repeatedly connectivity issues. So, like you said, radio and television is a good option, but what about podcasts?
Why not? I think we have to be proactive about this. You need to approach your local radio stations. I think Google has its own radio station, doesn't it? You have no, okay. But then you need to be proactive and approach the radio stations, approach the TV, and especially DD. The Doordarshan is very, very receptive to such things. So we need to approach them and have some kind of regular broadcasts, TV or radio broadcasts, have a program going. See, it cannot be in the form of classroom teaching, but yes, you can have certain, you can be innovative about these programs. The Prasar Bharati in Dhera Dun is open to these things. So I have colleagues who are now talking about literature on radio programs, on even on children's literature, on language learning, on radio. We have to be proactive, and we have to give our time and of course our expertise for these programs. If you approach the government sector, they are very open to this. That is Doordarshan and Prasar Bharati.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, we have one more question. Ma'am, you have spoken about scaffolding. So how can we implement scaffolding, children's scaffolding?
Okay.
Yes.
What is scaffolding? It is providing stepwise support.
Yes.
It is providing stepwise support. So instead of giving assignments, I think if discussions, group discussions happen before you give assignments, or you take inputs from the group and then discuss those inputs, you're providing a scaffold. So it is stepwise support. By scaffolding, I meant stepwise support. So as I said earlier, it is not just about content and challenging the student. Along with the upgrading of the content and the challenge that you provide the student with resources to be able to that challenge. That is the scaffold that they require. Those are the steps that they require. So teaching is not just about the content and the that you provide to the student. It's also the support. For our online classes, it wasn't just the lesson. Most of my colleagues, it wasn't just the lesson that we were giving. We also went through, tens and twenties, or sometimes a lot of YouTube videos of other content, and then shared that content, what we thought was good, with what we thought was academically sound. We shared that content also, apart from our lesson that we gave on our online, on whatever platform we were using. So that provided a stepping stone for them to go further and beyond what we are able to do during a class. So, but for that, yes, we had to put in a lot of time going through at least 20 videos to find 2 that were good enough. So yes, the kind of support that they need. So PDFs and the ebooks. So we've been doing all that. I found sources of free ebooks, which I share with my students. That see, they are without library support right now, and anything and everything is available on the net, which may be good and it may be very bad also. So they need someone to help them sift through is good, and come to what is good. And so we were sharing all that. That is the kind of scaffolding that I was talking about.
Ma'am, one of our students is asking that since teaching is a two-way street, and how can teachers cope with this sudden change and help the students get a better understanding of the practical aspects of a subject, since it is not possible, or it may not be possible, with the distance and virtual classes?
Yes, that remains. And teaching online and not being able to interact in real time sometimes has been tough. But for the smaller classes, what we've done is that we've gone on Skype or these platforms where there was an interaction. And as far as the practical aspects are concerned, we gave them a lot of assignments that were to be done in a practical manner from whatever resources were available at home. So that so it had to be out of the box thinking. It had to be thinking that was very, very different from classroom lecture mode. So we had to think, we had to innovate and give them assignments. And for instance, we are part of the Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat program. MKP is part of that. And as part of CBSB club activity, one of my colleagues thought of talking about their their pride. Karnataka is our paired state. So we thought of talking about their pride, and their prides being Mysore Pak, Mysore Silk, and the tea and coffee at Kurk. So the girls were asked to, it's a girls' college, so the girls were asked to get recipes of Mysore Pak and cook them, and then share videos of the procedure as well as the end product. And the girls were very happy doing it. So we had different kinds of Mysore Pak being sent to us over over WhatsApp. It has to be out of box thinking. And we had them, drape clothes in the Karnataka style and send pictures. And the girls rose to the occasion. They were dancing to bits of songs in their home, relating videos, and sending us a complete a group song and a group dance. So as I said, it's this innovation, and I mentioned earlier, this innovation, this the online mode, this improvement is going to have a long-term effect on education. It is going to improve education. And I think we are moving towards mixed mode education, where it's not going to be just the lecture mode, it's going to be a mixed mode.
Ma'am, one of our participants, he's asking that online classes have increased the urge of using mobile phones because most of our classes are happening online. And how would this impact the mind of someone who is below the age of 10 or 11? Can this have a negative impact on their daily lifestyle? What would be the long-term impacts of this?
Yes, there will be. And I think the government has realized it too. And now we are getting guidelines where not more than 2 classes can be held for the under 10. I don't know whether you've seen these guidelines, but yes, not more than 2 classes a day. And of course, the parents is very important in limiting the other, the leisure screen time. So yes, it is going to have an impact. It does have impact. It is physical as well as psychological. It is your eyesight. It's going to be the concentration. All of those things will be impacted, and I'm glad that the government has woken up.
Okay, ma'am, let's take a final question as we are also running out of time. A faculty member from RGU, she is asking, how can we as a teacher deal with a child or a student who has recovered from COVID?
I think normalizing the experience is what we need to do. Not to make it, not to keep on harping about it. We need to normalize it. Yes, it happened. Great, you recovered. Yes, it's normal. It's happening to a lot of people, and that you will recover completely. It is not going to have any lasting effects. Do not treat the child as something different, as someone who's probably come back from winning a battle. No, just normalize it. It's for that it should be any other malady, any other disease or disorder that he has recovered from. I think that would be the key to dealing with a child who has recovered from COVID. Else, Rudranya?
We have a few more questions pouring in. Ma'am, if we have a bit more time, maybe we can handle one more question. Yes. So the student is also asking that in addition to all these technologies, it is not just on the part of the students that they're facing stress, but the stress is also faced by stress is also. Yes, ma'am, can you hear me now? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, now.
So the student is also, yes. The student has asked that in addition to the stress perhaps being faced by students, teachers are also facing stress. So how would they cope with it? Because they are also they also need to adjust with the new technology. That means needing to relearn or unlearn whatever they have previously learned. So how would teachers cope with the added stress?
Using all those means that I talked about. And yes, it has been stressful. Yes, we've had to learn and maybe unlearn some, not all, unlearn some. But it's been an exciting journey. At least personally for me, it has been an exciting journey. It's it's a new high that you feel that when you are able to do something that you thought wasn't really up your alley. It wasn't something that you were cut out for. So I think most of us have taken it in that spirit, that especially for people my age, it's been an exciting roller coaster. Sometimes we've been high and sometimes we've been low. But just that feeling of, yes, I learned something new. Yes, I was able to do it. Or yes, conducted a good online class today, has kept me going and has kept a lot of teachers going. But yes, the stress has not been just the stress as a teacher. Lockdown also meant that you were shouldering a lot of the housework. So yes, it was tiring, but I think the sense of achievement I think, kept us all going, of having learned something new, of having conducted a online class, of having had, people thanking you, or students thanking you, or saying, "Ma'am, sab kuch samajh mein aaya aaj." That was.
Can I add on something? Sangeeta,
Please do.
your permission?
Please.
No, I'm just sharing experience of some of my fellow colleagues and other teachers, because somehow I know many of them. So many of them, I'm just talking the positive points. Many of them actually have learned in last 4 months what they thought they will be learning in 4 years. So they have utilized this 4 months to learn in 4 months. Many of them who were never been exposed to any kind of international exposure, and through WebEx and through webinars, they got connected with so many people. Many of them have revived their relationships that were being set somewhere else for the timing because of paucity of time. Many of them have learned new ways to cook, especially we people. You probably know that I cook every week, but then I decided to cook more. And many of us learn work for home and work from home. So we are working for home also. I'm talking about male colleagues, which we normally were not doing. Many of them have become more healthier by working for themselves, reducing weight. I mean, I can say about me, I reduced for 5 kg. So that is another one. So many of them have done that. And as you said, many of them felt great achievement by doing new things, because whole day we are trying to find out something new. That once we are going to have an online class, what new? Once we are going to have online exam, what new? Once we are going to have evaluate online papers, what new? So many workshops have been done, we have learned. I mean, I think it is as you said, future will be maybe hybrid or maybe blended or maybe anything, but this particular COVID time with this kind of learning will have a major impact in our thinking and delivery in the class, as well as using the different techniques and technology for the class, and also understanding student more than what we used to understand earlier. So this is a great feeling, at least to me and many of my colleagues. We are into
Oh,
meeting
yes.
every day. I think that is the positive side. But then, as I again said, that people with negative set of mind, people feeling pain for working for home, working from home, not going to get out, becoming more obese, and all those things, they will suffer. I mean, there's no shortcut for life. Even pandemic
There are
time also requires double your energy to work upon, and double your energy in the positive sense, not in the negative sense. Otherwise, You will suffer, as I said, negatives will bring in more negatives, positive will bring in more positives, and healthier will become further healthier, or maybe otherwise, if you're not working, you will feel a lot of mental and other traumas. So that is what I felt. I think it was a fantastic time for teachers. I mean, I have come across out of 100, maybe one or two teachers who are feeling pain of this pandemic. Rest 98 of them are feeling good. I just wanted to add on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You summed it up. And I've lost about 5 kgs too.
Oh, great. Rudrani, over to you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for gracing us with your presence. It was a wonderful session. So many students and faculty members were interested in this topic, and it is such a relevant topic. And I'm sure that a lot of us will take these your tips into consideration, and we will try to apply it in our lives. And I'm very deeply grateful and thankful to Professor VC Sir, Professor SP Singh, because he has graced us with his presence despite such a busy schedule. And we are very thankful because this webinar has just become elevated with his presence. So thank you to all the participants who have joined. Thank you to my colleagues who have helped me in conducting this webinar. And last but not the least, thank you to RGU that they have